People don't notice what they can't see. And in today's world, money is visibility. Wealth is volume. Being rich doesn't make you better. It just makes you harder to ignore. Let's clear something up right away. Money doesn't make you smarter. It doesn't make you more moral. It doesn't make you more worthy. But you know what it does? It makes you visible. It gives you a seat at tables. It puts a spotlight on your ideas. It opens doors that stayed shut when you were broke. Not because the ideas changed, but because people listen louder when wealth is speaking. You've probably seen it yourself. You say something wise, silence. Someone else says the same thing with designer clothes and a luxury car parked outside. Applause. It's not always fair, but it is real. Money doesn't change the message, it changes the volume. That's why being rich gets attention. It's not about superiority, it's about visibility. Money gives you the power to share your story on a stage instead of whispering it from the background. It's the difference between being qualified and being noticed. And that's where many people get discouraged. They think, why doesn't anyone see me? Why am I overlooked? But the truth is, you're not being rejected. You're just not resourced. Because in this world, even brilliance needs a budget. You can have the right heart, the right talent, the right vision. But if you don't have the funds, the world will scroll past your greatness. And that's why you must learn money. Not to impress people, but to reach people. Not to prove your worth, but to broadcast it. Because when you're rich, the world turns its head. Suddenly your voice matters, your platform grows, your ideas go further. Not because they weren't powerful before, but because now you can afford to amplify them. Let me make this plain. Being rich doesn't make you better, it makes you louder. And when you're louder, you're seen. When you're seen, you're heard. And when you're heard, you can help, heal, build, and lead. But only if you use it right, because there's a difference between being rich and being impactful. One buys a spotlight, the other shines one. So no, being rich won't change your value, but it will change your reach. And if your heart is right, if your motives are pure, then the more seen you become, the more lives you can change. Wealth is not the goal, but visibility, that's the leverage. Learn the money game, not to be worshipped, but to be witnessed. They didn't overlook you. They just couldn't see you. But money flips the light switch, and suddenly everyone's paying attention to what they once ignored. People love to act like success happened overnight, like you just popped out of nowhere. But let's be honest. You've been grinding in the dark for a long time. You've been building. You've been growing. You've been learning. And nobody noticed. Not because you weren't good enough. Not because your gift wasn't valuable, but because you didn't have the amplifier. And in this world, that amplifier is money. It's what turns whispers into headlines, what turns potential into presence, and what turns background characters into main stage speakers. People only start clapping once the spotlight hits. They only ask questions when they see the results, and they only remember your name when wealth starts saying it louder. You're not invisible. You're just unfunded. There's nothing wrong with your vision. What's missing is the visibility, and money is the difference between the two. Now here's the hard truth most won't admit. This world doesn't reward the most talented. It rewards the most visible. It listens to the loudest room, and money makes noise. That's why they ignored you when you were quiet. Not because you weren't good, but because you weren't glowing. But hear me closely, money isn't the source of your power. It's the speaker that projects it. You've already got the content, the character, the calling, the creativity. Now you need the capital, and don't feel guilty for wanting it. Money in the hands of someone with vision changes families. It builds communities. It shifts culture. It gives the underdog a microphone. Because when you finally step into abundance, they'll pretend you just got here, like you just arrived. But you'll know, money didn't make you. It revealed you. So no, you're not overlooked. You're just early. Keep building. Keep learning. Keep working. Because when the money shows up, so does the attention. And when the world finally looks your way, they won't be meeting a beginner. They'll be meeting a master who was hidden until it was time to be seen. It's easy to feel invisible in a world that seems to celebrate everyone but you. You watch others rise, win, succeed, and wonder why your brilliance goes unnoticed. But I want to tell you something important. You are not overlooked. You're simply undercapitalized. You see, money is not the source of value. It's the amplifier of it. A microphone doesn't give you a voice. It just makes the voice you already have louder, and money, it works the same way. You already have the ideas. You already have the drive. You already have the work ethic, the talent, the determination. But without capital, without resources, it's like trying to run a marathon with your shoelaces tied together. Let's be clear. You're not failing because you're not smart enough. You're not ignored because you don't have value. You're not overlooked because you're not destined for more. You just haven't had the financial backing to build the stage you belong on. Money is not the goal, but it is the fuel. And until you have it, until you understand how to generate it, manage it, multiply it, you will feel stuck. That's the real reason it feels like no one's watching you. Because the world can't see what you can't afford to show them. So what's the answer? You stop waiting. You stop blaming the world. And you make a decision to learn how money works. To attract it, not chase it. To multiply it, not misuse it. You read every book. You study every principle. You get serious about your budget, your habits, your time. Because the version of you with resources is unstoppable. Understand this. Your time is coming. But first, you must prepare the foundation. The money will arrive when your mind is ready, when your habits are aligned, when your value is structured for success. So if today feels silent, if it feels like no one sees you, don't be discouraged. You are not invisible. You are simply in preparation. And when you finally get the capital, when you finally get the funding, the support, the momentum, everything you've built in private will roar in public. Because it was never about if. It was always about when. And the when begins the moment you decide, I will learn this money game. I will master it. And I will never be overlooked again. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not behind. You are building. And soon the world will witness what happens when preparation meets power. This is your time. Sometimes it's not that your dreams are too big. It's that your wallet is too small. But don't confuse being broke with being broken. One is your condition, the other is your identity, and they are not the same. You are not a failure because your bank account is low. You are not less valuable because you don't have what others do. You are not unsuccessful just because your success hasn't shown up yet. Let me remind you, money is not a measure of your worth. It's a magnifier of what you've already been building. The car you drive, the clothes you wear, the home you live in, they don't define you. They just reflect what stage of the journey you're in. Some of the greatest minds, some of the strongest spirits, some of the most successful people you've ever heard of started in lack. But they didn't stay there. They understood something most people don't. Being broke is temporary, but being broken is a mindset. And the people who rise, they don't let their current condition define their future potential. Here's the truth. You don't need more likes. You don't need more attention. You don't need more applause. You need more capital. You need systems. You need structure. You need the discipline to keep going, even when it looks like nothing is happening. Money doesn't come to those who want it. It comes to those who are ready for it, mentally, emotionally, strategically. And when it comes, it won't change you. It'll reveal you. It'll give you the room to breathe, to build, to become. But don't wait until then to believe in yourself. Because the version of you who's rich in faith, in discipline, in vision, that version is already successful. Now it's time to catch your money up to your mindset. You're not overlooked. You're not cursed. You're not broken. You're just in the process of building. And when your money shows up, the world will finally see what God already put inside of you. You're not overlooked. You're just underfunded. It's a strange thing to have the vision, the passion, and the discipline, but still feel invisible. You've done the inner work. You've studied, sacrificed, stayed consistent, yet the doors haven't opened. And it's tempting to think, maybe I'm just not good enough. But you are. You're not overlooked. You're just underfunded. Let's be honest. In this world, attention follows money. Not always excellence, not always effort, not even always character, but capital? Capital gets noticed. Because money amplifies presence. It creates access. It buys time. It pays for platforms. And it turns whispers into microphones. But what happens when you don't have the money? You become a genius with no stage, a brand with no reach, a solution with no visibility. Not because you're not valuable, but because the world hasn't been able to see what you carry. And that is not your fault. But it is your responsibility. No one is coming to fund your dream out of pity. No one is going to hand you the capital just because you're a good person with good intentions. The world doesn't respond to need. It responds to strategy, to execution, to value clearly communicated and consistently delivered. If you've ever felt overlooked, this is why. You've been trying to be noticed, when what you really need is to be resourced. Success doesn't hide from people. It hides from people who don't understand how to control capital. Money is not the prize. Money is the power tool. It funds your voice. It lifts your message. It frees your schedule. It multiplies your impact. And most importantly, it makes your gifts visible. Because in today's economy, being talented isn't enough. You must be funded. So what do? You stop complaining about being overlooked, and you start preparing to become financially unignorable. You begin learning, not just about passion or purpose, but about profit. You read books on wealth. You study people who built from nothing. You learn sales, marketing, ownership, equity, systems. You figure out what keeps money from sticking to you, and you fix it. And every day, you decide, I'm not going to die full of potential. I'm going to turn it into capital, because when you solve the money problem, you don't just change your life, you change your bloodline. No more begging to be seen, no more waiting on permission, no more pretending like you're fine with just enough. You're not asking for money to flex, you're asking for it to fund the future. And once you have it, you'll remember the version of you that no one saw, the version who built in the shadows, the one who showed up broke, but not broken, and you'll thank them for not quitting. You are not overlooked. You are overprepared, underfunded, undervalued, but not underqualified. When you learn how to attract and manage money, the world will finally see what's been inside you all along. Your time is coming, but your wealth must come first. You're not behind. You're just building without money. You're not late. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You're just trying to build a mansion with no tools. And that's why it's been hard. It's not that you lack vision. It's that you've been trying to construct greatness without capital. Let me say this plainly. You don't lack talent. You don't lack discipline. You don't lack drive. You lack money. And that's not something to feel ashamed of. It's something to become aware of. Because awareness leads to adjustment, and adjustment leads to elevation. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Without money, your impact is capped. Not because you aren't worthy, but because money is the tool that turns private vision into public influence. Think about it. It takes money to build a brand, to start a business, to create a message that reaches the masses. It takes money to buy back your time, to walk away from jobs that drain you, to be free enough to focus on what actually matters. But here's what no one tells you. Being broke doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're operating in seed season. It means you're carrying the blueprint, but haven't gathered the bricks. And the worst thing you can do is confuse delay with denial. Just because your life hasn't exploded publicly doesn't mean you're not building something powerful in private. The mistake most people make? They assume visibility equals value. They think if no one sees them, it must mean they're not good enough. But that's not the truth. In reality, many of the most gifted people on earth are simply undercapitalized. You want to get noticed? Get resourced. You want to be respected? Get leveraged. You want to be free? Get funded. But first, you've got to study the game of money, because wishing for wealth is not the same as working for it. Most people pray for a breakthrough, but they reject the systems that actually produce one. Let me give you this. Wealth comes to those who can be trusted with it, who steward what little they have, who learn to multiply before they ask to magnify. That starts with clarity, structure, financial discipline, and an unwavering belief that money isn't just meant for other people. It's meant for you too, but not to make you better, only to make you seen, because who you are now, that's the real version, the valuable version, the version the world needs. Money won't change that. It will only give it a voice. So stop beating yourself up. You're not overlooked. You're just operating without the financial volume turned up. But once you get the resources, once you solve the capital problem, there will be no stopping you, because you were never behind. You were just building without the funding. And now it's time to get funded. You are not small. You are not invisible. You are not disqualified. You are simply in the season before the funding. And when it comes, everything changes, not because money made you great, but because it finally made your greatness impossible to ignore. It's easy to mistake your bank balance for your worth, to look at your account and start doubting your ability. But listen to me, you are not a dollar amount. You are not your debt, and you are not disqualified just because you're still building. The world has a loud way of measuring success. Fancy cars, big homes, luxury vacations, followers, followers, followers. But let's be honest, none of that defines you, because if it did, then only the wealthy would be worthy. And we both know that's not the truth. Some of the most influential people on earth don't have blue checks. They don't have big numbers. They're not trending. But they have discipline. They have purpose. They have clarity. And most importantly, they have value that money can't buy. Right now, you may be in a season where your income doesn't reflect your insight, your pockets don't match your potential, and your current results look nothing like the future you're fighting for. That's not failure, that's foundation. It's the season where God is building your character before He gives you capital, because if you don't grow into it mentally, you'll lose it financially. So let me remind you of something. You are not behind. You are in training. You are not overlooked. You are being developed. You are not broke in spirit, just low in funds. And guess what? Funds can be raised. Money can be made. But identity is discovered. Value is owned. And purpose is walked in, rich or poor. If you're tired of feeling stuck, here's what you do. Stop chasing income and start chasing instruction. Start learning the language of wealth. Start learning the habits of stewardship. Start thinking like someone who already has it. Because if your mindset isn't wealthy, your money won't stay, no matter how much you make. You don't need a miracle. You need mastery. Master your time, master your focus, master your emotions, master your belief. Because the moment your mindset catches up to your mission, money becomes the byproduct, not the pursuit. And when that money shows up, you won't be surprised, because you'll know you were valuable before the funds, you were worthy before the wins, you were successful before the spotlight. Money didn't change you. It exposed the version of you that was always there, hidden beneath the noise, the doubt, and the lack. Don't confuse your balance with your brilliance. You are not broke. You are becoming. And soon, the world will meet the version of you that always had value, even when no one could see it. Money doesn't change you. It just unlocks the version of you the world couldn't see. You've always been this brilliant, always had this work ethic, always thought this deep, but no one saw it. Because in this world, until you have money, your genius is invisible. Let's make something clear. Money doesn't give you value. It reveals it. It doesn't create confidence. It exposes it. And it doesn't make you new. It unlocks the version of you that's been trapped behind survival. You weren't lacking purpose. You were lacking freedom. And freedom costs. It costs money to say no. It costs money to take time off. It costs money to slow down and create something meaningful. And until you solve the money problem, you'll always feel like your life is on someone else's clock. They told you to stay humble, to wait your turn, to be grateful for what you have. And you are. But gratitude is not the same as settling, and waiting your turn is dangerous when the game is rigged against the unfunded, because the truth is, when you're broke, people treat you like background noise. Even when you're a masterpiece, Even when you have something to say, even when you're the one with the answers, money doesn't validate you, but it does introduce you. It opens the room, it funds the idea, it buys the mic, it prints the book, it builds the brand. Without it, your value stays hidden under bills, jobs, obligations, and silence. That's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to change it. Not so people can clap for you, but so people can finally hear you. Because the truth is, they weren't ignoring you. They just couldn't see you. And in today's world, attention follows capital. That's why you're chasing wealth. Not to be better than anyone, but to be seen by the ones you're called to impact. And make no mistake, when you get it, when the freedom hits your calendar, when your bank account matches your brain power, the world will act like you just became great, but you'll know you've been great. Money just turned the lights on. So no, money won't change you, but it will finally let the world see the version of you that's been quietly working in the shadows. And when they see it, they won't be able to look away. Money doesn't make you powerful, it just puts you in charge. Money isn't power, you are. But without it, your power has to ask for permission. Without it, your ideas wait, your voice whispers, and your time belongs to someone else. Money doesn't make you powerful, it just puts you in charge of what's already yours. They told you not to chase money. They told you it's not everything. And that's true, it's not. But let's not pretend. In a world that runs on systems, on influence, on access, money matters. Not because it defines your worth, but because it unlocks your choices. Without money, you can be wise, but ignored, talented, but limited, creative, but stuck. It's not that you aren't ready. It's that the world won't listen until you can pay to turn the volume up. Money gives you control over your schedule, your location, your focus, your next move. It lets you say no to what drains you and yes to what grows you, not because you're better, but because you finally have options. And freedom always starts with options. You see, being broke keeps you on defense. You spend your energy putting out fires, trying to stretch pennies, trading hours for dollars, and silencing your genius just to survive. But when money enters the room, you switch positions. You stop reacting and start building. You stop begging and start choosing. You stop surviving and start designing. Because when you're resourced, you can finally move from purpose to impact, from dreaming to doing, from being qualified to being in control. So no, money doesn't make you powerful. You are always powerful. Money just hands you the keys to the mic, to the building, to your time, to your name. And when you're in charge, you stop asking for permission to be great. You just are. You were never powerless. You just didn't have the tools. Now it's time to build, not for applause, not for status, but so your voice, your gift, your vision can finally move freely without asking for permission.